Hello, my name is Desmond Keegan, and you're very welcome to the Word. And the Word for the 28th Sunday in Ordinary Time, we have the following Gospel. The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Glory to thee. On the way to Jerusalem, Jesus travelled along the border between Samaria and Galilee. As he entered one of the villages, 10 lepers came to meet him. They stood some way off and called to him, Jesus, Master, take pity on us. When he saw them, he said, Go and show yourselves to the priests. Now, as they were going away, they were cleansed. Finding himself cured, one of them turned back, praising God at the top of his voice, and threw himself at the feet of Jesus and thanked him. The man was a Samaritan. This made Jesus say, Were not all 10 made clean? The other 9, where are they? It seems that no one has come back to give praise to God except this foreigner. And he said to the man, Stand up and go on your way. Your faith has saved you. The Gospel of the Lord. One of my favourite, most inspiring religious leaders of the past 30 or 40 years has been the former Chief Rabbi Jonathan Sacks, who very sadly died in 2020. If you want to know how a talk should be given, look up TED Talks and watch a wonderful presentation from the Chief Rabbi from 2017, where he talked about the importance of going from I to we, from me to us. The reason why I mention Lord Sacks is that in one of his many books, he tells a lovely story that always makes me chuckle. And it's the story of Mr. Finkelstein, who develops chest pains and is rushed to the Massachusetts General, probably one of the most famous hospitals in the world. And there, Mr. Finkelstein receives wonderful treatment. After a week, he checks himself out and gets himself admitted to a very run down hospital on the east side of the city. And the doctor there is fascinated about why Mr. Finkelstein would check himself out of a beautiful hospital and come to a very run down hospital. And he asks Mr. Finkelstein, was it the doctors? Were they not caring? Oh, doctor, says Mr. Finkelstein. The doctors were fantastic, wonderful physicians, geniuses. About the doctors, I can't complain. I can't complain. Was it the nurses, Mr. Finkelstein? Oh, no, doctor. The nurses were wonderful. Couldn't do enough for me. About the nurses, I can't complain. I can't complain. Was it the food? Was it the food, Mr. Finkelstein? Oh no, doctor, I don't know what gave you that impression. The food was wonderful. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. About the food, I can't complain. I can't complain. So by this point, the doctor is completely bemused. And he says to Mr. Finkelstein, Mr. Finkelstein, could you tell me why you booked yourself out of the Massachusetts General and came to this crummy little hospital? And Mr. Finkelstein looks up at the doctor, smiles and says, Well, you see, doctor, in this crummy little hospital, I can complain. I can complain. It always makes me chuckle because for most of us, not everybody, the glass is always half empty. We would rather be negative rather than positive. When we think about Mary, the mother of Jesus, we think of the perfect disciple who's full of praise and of thanksgiving. Every evening in the office of the church, we pray the Magnificat, which is a wonderful song of joy, praise, and thanksgiving. And that's what I want to focus on, reflecting on the reading. Am I a grateful person? Am I a person full of gratitude for God and the gifts of God and the blessings of God in my life? I can only speak for myself, but I think it's true for many of us. We have an unbelievable ability to take everything for granted. I have the privilege of visiting St Andrew's Hospice in Airdrie, just up the road, every Monday, where I celebrate Mass, and then I wander around and meet some of the patients who are very, very poorly. And I never come out of St Andrew's without an attitude of gratitude, without a sense of how grateful I am for my life, my health, my loved ones, many aspects of my life that I take for granted. We come to the Eucharist, we come to Holy Mass as often as possible. The Eucharist comes from a Greek word meaning to give thanks. Am I a Eucharistic person? Do I give thanks to God? And so, inspired by the example of the leper, the Samaritan leper, who came back to thank Jesus, I suggest that we all have a gratitude week, that we spend the following week just recognizing how much we have to be grateful for. Again, an attitude of gratitude. I started with a story, I'll end with a story. A 90-year-old lady goes to Mass every Sunday. Because she's so frail and elderly, she has to get a taxi to Mass. And often it's the same taxi driver. And he asks, why do you go to Mass at your age? What's the point? And the old lady simply says, to say thank you. To say thank you. The 10th leper who came back, the Samaritan, was full of gratitude. He had an attitude of gratitude. Let's follow the example of that leper. And in the words of the Gospel, to praise God this week and to throw ourselves at the feet of Jesus and thank Him.